Hey, everybody, welcome to Spotlight 814, Erie's local theater podcast. I am your host, Ryan Dolly, and I'm here today with one of the stars of Kinky Boots national tour, playing Charlie Price. Please welcome Noah Silverman. Good morning, Noah.
Good morning. I'm so happy to
I
be here.
so happy to have you here, man. Welcome. You guys are coming to Erie's Warner Theater with Broadway in Erie on March 10th and 11th. Where are you on tour right now?
I'm currently in New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Okay, nice, nice. And where were you
Yeah.
before that?
Before that, we were in Burlington, Vermont, and before
Nice.
that, we had a week in Boston, which was really really great.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. A week. That's good.
Yeah.
So you guys normally have like two, maybe three performances while you're in each city, right?
I would say it totally depends. So we're doing actually about 3 weeks in Toronto,
Oh,
but
wow.
then sometimes we're in a city for one night. So it kind of totally depends on the week and where we're at, and what type of city we're at. We do 2 weeks in Chicago, but then we have like these weeks where we're doing I think like one show in Bangor, Maine next week. So
Okay.
it's just like it kind of is all. It depends on the week.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Okay, first of all, tell us a little bit about Noah Silverman person.
Hi, yeah. So I grew up outside of New York, in Westchester, New York. Grew up, seeing shows, seeing theater. I went to Walnut Hill School for the Arts, which is a performing arts high school right outside of Boston. So it was really nice to be back in Boston last week. And then I went to Penn State to get my BFA in musical theater. So hey, I'm a little familiar with Pennsylvania. I've actually never been to Erie,
Yeah.
but I spent 4 years in state college, and I loved it. And yeah, so this is my second national tour. I did the Book of Mormon national tour last year, and this year I'm doing Kinky Boots,
Yeah.
which I love, and I absolutely love the show. This role is a dream role, and I'm so grateful to be here.
Let's talk about the show itself, because a lot of people in Erie don't know Kinky Boots. So give us an
Yeah,
overview of that first.
Kinky Boots is a really beautiful show. It's about a a guy who inherits his father's shoe factory. This guy's name is Charlie Price, and he inherits his father's shoe factory, and this shoe factory is kind of going under, and so they need to figure out a way to save the shoe factory. So he runs into this drag queen, and he meets this drag queen named Lola, who's an incredible drag queen, but from such a different world than this small town with a shoe factory.
Yeah.
And she he Charlie needs to find a niche market to kind of save this shoe factory, and through meeting Lola, they come up with a solution together to save this shoe factory. And it's these two people from completely different worlds who might not understand each other's worlds, and yet they have so many similarities, and they really like find this beautiful friendship, and they build this amazing friendship and help um, this factory. It's really a beautiful show about two people that are so incredibly different and seem so incredibly different, but
Yeah.
really find all these similarities and really create something beautiful.
Talk a little bit about your character, Charlie. Tell us a little bit more about him and his relationship with Lola.
Yeah, a big part of this story is about each of them and their relationships with their fathers, which I think is a really beautiful element to the story that a lot of people can relate to, and about having maybe a more complicated relationship with a parental figure of sorts. And I think both of them feel as if they might not be enough for their parents in one way or another, or might be not what their parents have looked for. And so I think that they find he comes into the story as kind of this insecure guy that doesn't really know what to do,
Mhm.
and has never really felt like a leader and never necessarily felt passionate about anything in particular. And ultimately, throughout this story, finds community, finds this passion, and this love for these people that he grew up with, and this solution that he's kind of helped create, and he finds this leadership within himself, and also finds ways so it's a really beautiful character arc of, finding yourself, finding the leadership within you, finding your passion, and helping to figure out how you can use that passion to support others,
Mhm.
and rather than maybe being overwhelmed by the passion. So it's really very interesting, and I think that he goes through these ups and downs, and he's a human. He makes mistakes, and but I think that what's really beautiful is he finds this spark in himself, and that's a really really beautiful thing.
What's the biggest misconception audiences have about Kinky Boots before they see it?
Yeah, I think people might see the sparkly red boots
Yeah, yeah.
and the glitz and glamour of Kinky Boots and be a little overwhelmed and be like, that's not my, not my cup of tea. When I think, in fact, this show is truly for everyone. Like,
Mhm.
anyone can find their way to relate to this. It's been really cool to go into these cities that might be, in the middle of the US, in the middle of, Washington State, Iowa, and these people come up to us and will be like, I came into this being hesitant, not really thinking this show is for me. And it really has, it really is for everyone. And so I think that people, yeah, have a misconception that
Mhm.
it's this show about drag queens or show that's just about, like acceptance or whatever that means. And I think this show is about so much more than that. This show is really about human connection and how we all have ways to understand one another, and there is a common, we're all humans and we can all create connection. So I think it's a really beautiful story that really is for everyone and has great music by Cyndi Lauper. It's fun.
Right.
You can
Yeah.
dance, and also it's emotional and has a beautiful heart.
And you've been touring for a while with several different shows. You mentioned Book of Mormon, and that's also coming to Erie this year, which is awesome. I can't wait for that one.
Oh, cool, cool, cool,
Uh,
cool.
what is your favorite thing about being on tour?
That's a great question. It is such a privilege to be able to go to all these different parts of the U.S. that I wouldn't necessarily go to. I think that there's so much to be learned from doing that. I think that it's easy to stay in your bubble, and it's easy to have a perception of our country based off of the bubble that you grew up in. And I
Yeah.
think that touring gives me the privilege and opportunity to understand where people come from and, you know, find this understanding and
Right.
commonality that I'm kind of talking about with this show. And I think that that is a really special thing. Also, it's fun. I get to do what I love around the country, and um, I get to hang out with my friends and explore these different cities. Like, I really am so lucky. With that being said, it can be very hard,
Oh, I'm sure.
but
Yeah.
it is such a privilege, such a privilege.
When you're on the road, what's something you can't live without?
Ooh, oh my gosh, That's a great question. I would say honestly, I have this. We got these Kinky Boots pillows for
Yeah.
opening from our company, and I sleep with it on every plane, every train, every bus that we go on. So I would say that that is like a key part in order for me to get the sleep necessary to do the show.
Yeah.
And also, so I would say that that is what I currently am very grateful for is my little Kinky Boots pillow that is my little travelable bull pillow.
That is
Um,
awesome. Do you have any interesting pre-show rituals?
I always try and do my own warm up for the show,
Mhm.
which I've had to create based off of what I specifically do in the show and sing, and it's like probably the most challenging role I've ever done.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's super rewarding and incredible, and but I would say my favorite ritual is that I always go to, so Omari plays Lola, and
Yep.
I always go to Omari's dressing room before every show we have and just check in and talk to Omari, and that moment of being able to connect before the show, before we go into this amazing story, is so helpful for me. And also Amari is like truly brilliant
Mm,
and a genius. So like I feel like I learn something from Amari every day.
yeah,
So I feel so grateful that I get to work with Amari on and off stage. And I would say that the pre-show check-in is like my favorite part of my pre-show ritual.
I love that. Tell us about the boots.
I don't know if I know what that means, but
So the boots that you
um,
put on as Charlie,
oh, okay,
uh,
yes, they're amazing. They I mean, if you probably have seen some promo photos of
yeah,
these big red boots that I wear at the end of the show. So I will say I don't think it's much of a surprise, but you know, there is a we all have kind of these moments to put on these boots.
yeah,
They are incredible. They're these big red. Um, knee high, well, thigh high boots,
yeah, yeah,
and they are awesome. Everyone always asks me after the show, like, how do you walk in them? And I will say, I only have to spend 10 minutes of the show really in them.
yeah,
So, some of the other, the drag queens in the show have to spend like their whole show in these, crazy heels. So,
yeah.
and they're actually quite supportive. So I will say, like, they really do support your hook quite well. But it is so much fun. It is so much fun.
Has anybody like bitted on stage because of those boots?
I would say yes.
Yeah,
I would say yes. But it's live theater,
it is. Yeah,
and so sometimes there are going to be things that happen.
yeah, yeah,
But hopefully we can recover well enough for, no one in the audience to necessarily understand what's going on. But yeah,
yeah,
people have definitely had their share of trips and
yeah.
falls, maybe from what we have to do in the show.
Yeah. The last couple questions here. Tell us a little bit about the audition process.
Yeah, so I was actually doing Book of Mormon at the time. It was last spring, and I was in Portland, Oregon, and I was on the other side of the country during a lot of this audition process. So I kind of was like, "There's no way they're going to cast me. Like, I can't fly across the country. I can't be there in person with them." And you know, I am very grateful for my agent. My agent is really really wonderful, and kind of at some point in the process, they were willing to see me over Zoom, and then let me do some of the audition process over Zoom. And so I met them all over Zoom, and they made kind of an exception for me, which was very, very nice.
Yeah.
And I had to send the material at like 10 a.m.
Yeah.
on, Portland time. So it was tough, but yeah. And then I will say once that happened, once I had my final Zoom callback for it,
Mm.
I found out I'm pretty sure it was like later that day that I was being offered it, which was like pretty amazing.
That's,
So I felt
yeah.
very, very lucky. And, I have a great agent that helped push me along through it. And it really is a dream role. I remember when they called me and said, like, you're going to be Charlie Price. I was like, do you mean the understudy? I was like, there's no way. Like, so it is truly a dream come true. It is a dream role. And I feel so grateful that this team had this trust in me. It's the same team as Broadway, so it's all of the associates of Jerry Mitchell, who is the original
Mm.
choreographer for it, and all of his associates kind of helped put on the show. And Jerry Mitchell actually came to our opening, which
Oh,
was
that's
pretty
awesome.
incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel very grateful for the whole team.
Oh, that's great. We have a lot of listeners that are in community theater and colleges around here. We also have a Penn State Erie branch. What advice would you have for somebody who's in college, doing community theater and thinking about possibly doing this as a career?
You can do it. I would say keep going. I
Okay.
would say keep going. I think that theater is such a beautiful thing. And if this is something that you want to do in life, like it is possible, and I think that there can be lots of people who maybe don't know about the industry and might be like, well, you're going to be a waiter. And hey, I have plenty of friends that have side jobs and are, auditioning and what have you. But it is possible, and you just have to get yourself in every room you possibly can, make connections, send emails, and try and get in every possible room you can get in. But I graduated from Penn State without an agent, and I had no idea what I was doing. I had an amazing education at Penn State, but I graduated during COVID, so I was kind of
Oh
like I have
man.
no idea what's gonna happen, and I just kept working at it. And my first contract was as a singer on a cruise ship, and then I came back, and I was able to get referred to my agency, and then I was able to continue to get in more rooms, and then I went and did a handful of regional contracts, and then I booked my first tour. But it is totally possible. It is totally like you can do it, and theater is such a beautiful thing. Focus on your love for it.
Oh,
Focus on your passion, um, and keep going and keep your
oh,
head up.
yeah, it's great advice. Noah, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a
Yeah, thank you so
pleasure.
much for having me.
Yeah, taking time out of your day while you're on tour. I know it can be tough to find a little time.
No, all
So
good. Thank you so much. Thanks for
yeah,
having me.
thank you. Thank you. And we can't wait to see you in Erie at the Warner Theater on March 10th and 11th.
Great. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
awesome. Thank you so much, Noah.
Thanks so much.